Stand Guard by Dragon Training 101, read to you by The Devil's Advocate 18. Summary: JC is home, and Bob is on guard duty. Just a one-shot based on what I think is about to happen in the current arc, JC in the Fey Realm. Bob sat in a chair next to JC's bed, listening to the steady beeps of the heart monitor while watching them sleep. She herself was tired, but didn't want to sleep. She was terrified to take her eyes off of JC. As she watched the rise and fall of their chest, she replayed what had happened once she entered her grandfather's throne room. JC was lying on the floor, hands cuffed, eyes fixed on a singular spot on the ceiling, with very little life behind them. There was a bruise on their cheek, with a cut in the center. One of their ankles appeared swollen. "What did you do to them?" Bob demanded, glaring at her grandfather and eldest cousin. "They wouldn't stop talking, even after I silenced them," the Silver King waved off. "So I gave them something to put a stop to it. Don't worry, the effects will wear off by the time we're done negotiating." Bob's eyes widened in fear when she realized what exactly he gave Jennifer Charles. She didn't even realize she was running towards the throne until her sword had plunged itself into the king's chest, golden blood coating his robes and throne. The king looked down at the sword in his chest, then back up at his exiled granddaughter. As blood began to drip from his mouth, "Over a baker?" were his final words before his body slumped over, dead. The Crimson Princess screamed in horror as she leapt from her throne. She tried to pull herself together, but could do nothing more than scream and sob. Bob pulled the sword out and ran over to JC. She knelt down next to them, keeping the blood-soaked sword raised as if daring the guards to get closer to her and her mortal child. She felt for a pulse and sighed in relief when she found one. JC wasn't dead, but if she didn't act fast, they would be. The Iron Witch looked at the nearest guard, who seemed less shocked by her actions than anyone else in the room. "You will take us to the nearest portal to Earth." "Yes, ma'am." The guard obeyed. They sheathed their spears behind their backs and picked up JC. Together they exited the throne room and headed for the courtyard, where the royal portal resided. No one stopped them. Either they were unaware of what had just transpired, or they were too scared to try and stop the one who killed the king. Bob didn't question it. She just needed to get Jennifer Charles to a hospital, fast. "Where do you want the exit to be, ma'am?" the guard asked, as they set JC down and pulled out a gemstone along with several runes. "Blackwater, Minnesota, Cafe Latte," Bob answered. The guard nodded and cast the runes into the portal. On the opposite side, a clear view of Cafe Latte came into focus. Bob sheathed her sword and hooked her arms under JC's and began pulling them through the portal. She was so focused on keeping watch, she didn't know Cyrus had entered the room until he placed a hand on her shoulder. "Hey, boss," Cyrus said, getting some of her attention. "How are they?" "Stable for the moment," Bob replied, placing her hand on Cyrus's. "Their injuries are all minor and non-life-threatening. Doctors want to keep them here for a few days while the drugs leave their system. They've already given Jennifer Charles a round of antibiotics and meds to help with the impending withdrawal symptoms." Cyrus looked around the room and saw Nicole curled up on the visitor's chair, using JC's jean jacket as a pillow. "How's she holding up?" Bob risked a glance up at Nicole before turning her attention back to JC. "She's worried, like we all are. She spent a few hours praying before falling asleep." Cyrus looked down at his guardian and saw the dark circles under her eyes. "You get some sleep too, Bob. JC is safe. No one is going to come and take them away." Bob shook her head. No, I'll sleep later. Cyrus stepped around to face his guardian and sat on the edge of the bed. You're not fine, Bob. Even you have your limits. JC is going to be fine. You need to rest. If it'll make you feel better, I can stand watch while you head home and sleep for a bit. If anything happens, I will let you know. Bob sighed. You know, sometimes I hate that we can't lie. Cyrus smirked. Go home. Husnia is waiting outside to give you a ride. Bob took a hold of Cyrus's hand and gave it an affectionate squeeze before standing up. Call me if anything happens. Will do, her ward promised. JC was slowly waking up. The first thing they were aware of was the steady sounds of beeps and the smell of disinfectant. The second thing they were aware of was the pounding headache. Hospital, JC thought as they opened their eyes to look around the dimly lit room. To the right was Nicole, who was sound asleep on the couch, curled under a blanket with some of her locks obscuring her gorgeous face. And standing in the corner by the door was Cyrus, staring straight at them with an intensity JC had never seen before. The fairy's expression seemed to radiate actual power. Evening, sleepyhead, Cyrus greeted, before taking a second glance at his phone. Or should I say morning, since it's almost 4 a.m. Either's fine, JC said, noting the IV in their forearm. How did I get here? Last thing I remember is the Fairy King calling Bob. Cyrus stepped towards the bed and sat down on the edge. Boss showed up, saw what her grandfather had done to you, killed him, and dragged you back through a portal. Vet Grandpa and a couple of other paramedic buddies were on standby at the cafe and brought you to the hospital. What did the king do to me? JC asked, eyes wide with fear. Cyrus bit the inside of his cheek, hesitating for a moment before answering. He gave you marbles. Marbles? JC nearly choked, panic rising in their chest. Cyrus quickly took a hold of his best friend's hands and gripped them tightly. It's okay. It's going to be okay. The doctors have already started treatment, so when the withdrawal symptoms start, you will have an easier time fighting the cravings and the nausea. Both Boss and Nicole have given you charms to help with your mental state. You're going to be fine. JC felt a sense of calm wash over them. Thanks, Cyrus. Cyrus shrugged. Don't worry about it. Right now, just focus on feeling better. JC was quiet for a moment before they realized they had missed an important piece of information Cyrus mentioned. What do you mean she killed the king? The blue fairy let out a dry chuckle. Yeah, Boss kinda lost it when she saw your state you were in, stabbed him in the chest with her sword. According to our sources, the whole court is in chaos right now. She's taken precautions to keep everyone safe. She called in some favors to help with protection. Hurla and some of his lieutenants are outside the hospital, keeping an eye out for portals. The Stoughton Street Coven have covered the cafe with charms and spells to hide from anyone who seeks to cause harm. Ameth and Rathu are getting their family together just in case. Patrick and Janine have their soldiers on standby if they try to come after you or Bob. They won't get very far. And if they do get past that, what will happen? JC wondered, not really sure if they wanted to hear the answer. Cyrus shrugged. Best case scenario? Boss takes the throne. Worst case scenario? You're both dragged back to the Fey realm and possibly executed. Why would they give Bob the throne? JC asked. Power in the Fey realm can be gained one of two ways, usually, Cyrus explained. You can either kill to gain the position, or you can wait till that person gives up the position. Depending how her family feels about her, Boss still has following in the Fey realm, possibly enough to sway control. It all depends on what the court decides. Her eldest cousin, the Golden Princess, might not even consider it and just kill you two. I thought the Fae hated killing royals, JC recalled. They do, but there are exceptions to every rule, Cyrus stated matter-of-factly. Boss killed her grandfather, the king of the whole realm, because of a mortal she was fond of. As far as I know, nothing like this has ever happened before, so we're in uncharted territory, hence all the protection spells, runes, and charms. All we know is they're looking for you two. Wouldn't her family just be as powerful as her? JC asked. Some of them, maybe, the fairy answered, but she is more practiced in her craft. It would take a great amount of effort in their part to break through to find you, effort they might not be able to put in. The royal family has become quite lazy in recent decades due to the treaty. Jennifer Charles relaxed a bit. So what happens now? Right now? Your only focus is getting better and going to therapy, Cyrus answered. He stood back up. So, go back to sleep and get all the rest you can. The next few days are going to be rough. JC didn't argue. They were exhausted. As soon as they closed their eyes, they were asleep. Dreams of the Fey realm filled their mind. This was Stand Guard by Dragon Training 101, read to you by the Devil's Advocate 18. I hope you all enjoyed, and until next time.